What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake NBA Wise stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. Come say what's up. And I, of course, am from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all the social media platforms listed above on the screen. We are a premium DFS content provider as well as a DFS community designed to make you a better DFS player. If you're looking to take your DFS game to the next level, go check us out at WiseTake.com for projections, cheat sheets, articles, whatever you may need to help you, including strategy stuff. With that said, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Please be sure to subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you're notified whenever we do go live or put out any kind of DFS content on the channel. We do all kinds of content here from esports, PGA, NASCAR, of course, covering the big main sports of NFL, MLB, NBA, all that good stuff. So don't miss out. Make sure you subscribe. If you haven't already hit the like button, please hit that like button, guys. You know the likes help us out. I believe that as a company, as a community, we are severely underrated, and it's sickening. And the only way that's going to change is if we get the word out. And part of the way we're going to get the word out is by people hitting the like button so that YouTube recommends us more. Because I don't think it's right that some of these other companies out there are getting more clout, if you will, when in reality, we are the place to be. So hit the like button, guys. Much appreciated. Interesting slate we have tonight. We keep getting news that's changing, and now one of the biggest teams I think we were all looking at concentrating on, their situation got a little murky. We heard Brandon. We were initially coming into the day thinking that Brandon Clark was going to be one of our favorite plays, and he became doubtful. First questionable because he didn't go to shoot around, then doubtful. Meanwhile, D'Anthony Melton was doubtful all day. After missing 2 games, he got a sore hand. And now all of a sudden, he was upgraded to questionable. He went through shoot around. So I guess the hand was good enough to go through shoot around. So a lot of question marks. We got a lot of things that we need to discuss when we get to these games. A little spoiler alert for the second half of the show when we bring on Paulie and Stevie Brown today, of course. Me and Paulie talked briefly. And there wasn't... I'm sure there's some stuff we'll agree on, but there was a couple things that I think we think differently on. So me and Paulie agree a lot of the times. Obviously, we have disagreements with certain things, but that makes me think that with ownership, we're going to see something similar. Now, obviously, depending on the injury news that breaks out, maybe things can get a little more predictable as far as ownership and things like that. But right now, I'm not quite sure how things are going to look. I've seen ownership projections. Obviously, there's a couple players that we know are going to be popular. But as far as the different value pieces and the different builds, it's starting to look a little dicey. I was pretty sure Stars and Scrubs was going to be the main chalk build, and I still think it will be. But with Melton being questionable, that's going to make people dicey, I think, on Kyle Anderson and Solomon Hill, at least a little bit. Not saying they won't still be popular, but I think it'll make them question. And obviously, they were extremely cheap. Really, really cheap, and they were what was going to allow everyone to get multiple studs. With that said, I'll say this. I like the mid-tier a lot today. I wrote it in my article. The more I look at it, the more I kind of like the mid-tier. I'll explain as we go through, but I think there are a lot of underpriced mid-tier plays on the board today. There's not a ton of separation, I think. Even running through 150, 170 teams today, the exposures, there's a couple players I have really high exposures of, and the rest, just based off our projections, were scattering a little bit. A lot of 40s and 30s and 20s. More than usual when I just run it without any caps. So it's an interesting slate. Again, trying to predict the ownership in this one until we get more news could be a little strange. But again, we know that there are plenty of options, that there are a couple people that we know for sure are going to be popular. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. I'll pop back and forth between the chat to see if there's any questions as we go. In between games, I'll do that. We're going to start off with the Toronto Raptors visiting the Cleveland Cavaliers. We have a 22.5 total. Let me just pull up some of my things here real quick. I know this is a back-to-back for Toronto. Let me just pull up Jay Irv's article real quick. Schedule notes. Yeah, it's a back-to-back for Toronto. A 4-6 stretch, very tough part in the schedule. Detroit's had a day off, 3-5, not as bad. And again, we just mentioned, this has I think I mentioned it. Gotta update this. I'm sorry, I read the wrong total. Total is 223.5. My bad. And the Raptors are 4.5-point favorites over Detroit at the moment. Starting off with the Toronto side, as we always do, start with the road team. Serge Ibaka, certainly a strong option on FanDuel, and I think a decent option on DraftKings as well. We have him at 33.5. I know it shows 34. But you would think with Drummond on the court, they're going to need him. If you don't like him, then maybe you have some interest in Chris Boucher, who could get some time at backup. But I think Ibaka is the main play here. OG Anunoby is getting really cheap, but he's been a little inconsistent dealing with that shoulder injury. He is going to play. But I think that Ibaka, Lowry, and Van Fleet are the main three. Siakam I'm cool with. It's just a pricing thing. I will say this, his ownership should go off really, really low. But just from a pricing perspective, Kyle Lowry, Van Fleet, we know those guys are typically going to get ceilings and minutes most of the time out of this group. And I'm not sure how Toronto plays this as far as rotations. Again, it is a back-to-back, a 4 and 6 situation with travel mixed in between. So I'm cool with the Raptors, and I'm not like overwhelmingly on them. I think I was getting more Lowry. I was getting some Ibaka. I don't think I was getting a ton of anything else. But you could certainly take your chances. We know Marc Gasol is out. Rondae Hollis-Jefferson out again. So they are still fairly thin. It's just a matter of has the pricing caught up to it yet. On the Detroit side, Reggie Jackson, I think, is one of my favorite value plays. I mean, his usage is somewhere in the 30s. I was doing an average of like what his projection would be if we used the stats from last year compared to this year. And the use, I mean, you have to remember Blake Griffin was on the team last year. I mean, he was on the team earlier this year, but he's not right now. And I don't know if it's that or if it's just Reggie just having that time off to like regroup. But his minutes, I mean, I got him at 25 minutes, and it's based off this year's numbers. I had to actually lower him by a couple points manually because it was giving me ridiculous numbers, and I didn't want to end up with 100% Reggie. But definitely one of the better value plays. He's gotten 25 and 26 over his last 2 games, slowly increasing, so I think that's going to continue to increase. Markieff Morris is questionable. Keep an eye on that. We have him in for now. If he does miss, that second unit's going to go. Somebody on that second unit is going to have to step up and score, and I think Reggie could be a candidate for that. We'll see what the starting lineup actually is. Derrick Rose, I would expect him to start to lower his minutes a little, maybe not yet. So I think in the mid-tier he's still okay. Maybe there's some room to project Rose for a little more than what we have him. We have him at 31, but again, because of the schedule circumstances, and they never really had a plan to play Rose this much. Rose got 31 minutes in that game against Brooklyn. 37 the last time they played Brooklyn in an overtime game. 33 against Memphis. So anywhere from 31 to 33, unless this game goes to overtime, is where I would expect to see Rose. So we probably could give him a little something extra. Let's see if it's fine. Rose had him at 31.25. So say we go up to 32, which I think is still fair. It's going to help him out, but again, there's a lot of soft pricing, especially really on both sides. So as you can see, it bumped them up to 41.34. That's 5.44x on DraftKings. 5.53 on FanDuel. I think that's updated. Yeah. So I think Rose is fine for tournaments. Another one that should have some really low ownership. Not really interested. Andre Drummond. I completely skipped him. I do like Drummond at center. Joe Bell is going to take up a lot of center for a lot of people, especially on FanDuel. Drummond's ownership should be pretty low. But on DraftKings also, because I think most people will elect to go with LeBron or AD or that game in general, Harden or Westbrook. So I think with Joe Val, we're not going to see a ton of people use their money to pay up for a center. So I think it's a really good spot, especially with Gasol out. The spot got real juicy. I do like Drummond a lot. Drummond and Reggie are my 2 favorites here, with Rose a little bit behind them. And again, if you don't like Drummond or whatever you want to, if Markieff Morris is out, then Boya is very cheap. I would assume he picks up some extra minutes. And of course, we could see Wood play more. Something to keep an eye on. 30s and 7s, Guru says Josh Jackson cost him $45,000. Damn, man. Damn. We'll get to Ricky Rubio, Kyle. We'll get to Ricky Rubio. Shout out to those of you who are just joining us. Appreciate y'all. If y'all can hit the like button, likes go a long way. Help us out. Give you that spiel. Let's move on to the next game. We've got the Chicago Bulls visiting the Brooklyn Nets. Pull this up. We've got a 220 total Nets are 5.5-point favorites here at home. Let's look at the schedule. Bulls have had a day off. Brooklyn's had a day off also. This is the front end of a back-to-back for Brooklyn. Starting with Chicago, Thaddeus Young's ownership should be kind of down. I mean, he's a pretty solid play. Little revenge narrative for him against Brooklyn. He's playing big minutes with, what's his name? Markkanen out and Porter and they have a lot of injuries. Gafford, Carter Jr. So he is getting a lot of minutes. I'm fine with him with 5K. It kind of fits that mid-tier. He's like mid-tier value, so I'm cool with that. Levine would be your primary play here. Been a little up and down. He had that eruption game, and since then it's been kind of down, but his price has come down. He's got a soft matchup against Brooklyn. I'm cool with it. Chris Dunn got hurt in their last game. Only got 16 minutes. And that game went to overtime. Only got 16 minutes. But he's supposedly good to go. I'm okay with the matchup. It's just he doesn't really stand out. We have a lot of good options, and he's just kind of blah. Chandler Hutchinson did really well in that last game. He did benefit from Chris Dunn going out, and of course there were some extra minutes to be earned in overtime. Another value play that'll go really low owned. If you're interested, Thomas Satoransky's price has really gotten low on DraftKings. On FanDuel, I'm not interested at all, but on DraftKings, it's gotten really low. Just something to keep an eye on. I don't see myself playing him over Reggie Jackson, but we've seen Sato erupt from time to time. I mean, you could take a shot on Valentine or White. The guys in the best spot are the centers, Cornette and Felicio, but if you want to play that game, you'd be my guest. I don't think I'm that interested in playing that one. So really on the Bulls, it's Levine and Young mainly for me. Everything else is just kind of like low exposure if you get any. On the Nets side, Kyrie Irving should be pretty low owned today, considering Westbrook and Harden are on the slate with Dame and Booker. We have a lot of other spend-ups to go for. Kyrie Irving was chalk last time out and busted horribly against Detroit after posting a 60 against them the game before. So I think that Irving's ownership today is going to be really low, and I'm fine with the matchup against Chicago. I mean, it's just hard. We have a lot of really good studs who you might want to get up to, and again, the mid-tier is really strong, so he's kind of priced at a point. I don't know how much Kyrie I get. Probably, I think I'll have some, because 5.46 raw points-wise, it's actually not bad, right? But probably not one of my higher-owned studs. Joe Harris's price is really low. He continues to be inconsistent, though. DeAndre Jordan could smash if he gets minutes here. Him and Allen are both in really good spots against the Bulls. Just kind of hard to project who's going to play what at what point. Jared Allen's price not showing up all that great for us at the moment with DeAndre Jordan back. If you think he's going to play more than that, you could certainly give him the boost. Let's look at him. Jared Allen, here we go. So Allen played 27 minutes against Detroit last time out. 30, and before that, we saw DeAndre Jordan was out for a little while. So I was probably a little too conservative with his minutes. I'll raise him a little bit here. Not that I'm terribly interested, but it is a center against the Bulls. You don't want to be careless with that kind of stuff. So let's say we'll put him at like 29. And then we'll lower Jordan to, he's actually at 20.5, lower into a flat 20. See what that does for us. So Allen, it helped, but you really want Allen to be projected somewhere in the 30s for him to really show up. Let's see what happens if we move it there. Again, guys, these are the projections at WiseTake.com. They don't look like this when you go get them. It's a table. I built this sheet as a visual for the show so you guys can follow along. But if you want to use our projections, download them. You can download them and upload them into whatever optimizer that you use with WiseTake membership over at WiseTake.com. So now we're looking at DeAndre Jordan. We have at 20. Still an interesting value play to me, but obviously we have a lot, so it'd be hard to get there. Jared Allen a little bit better now. 5.3x. Still not going to reach a ton of them, though. Karis LeVert is the big question mark, right? He's got the most upside out of all these value guys. He's just not playing more than 23 minutes for whatever reason. I don't see why that would change unless it does. But I can't just keep, I can't project him for more than, we got him at 23.5. I can't project him for any more than that at this point, unless there's an injury. What else we got there? Yo, what's up, Charles? Says, yo, CK, what's up, bro? What's happening? Hit the like button, everybody. Appreciate it. Welcome. Let's keep it rolling. Next up, we got the Dallas Mavericks and the Houston Rockets. This should be a pretty good one. I pulled up the wrong team. So the Rockets are home. We have a 236 total, which is one of the higher ones on the slate. I believe it's the second highest at the moment. The Rockets opened up -9. They're down to -8. I know Clint Capella got ruled out, but other than that, Harden and Westbrook are both good to go. Dallas missing Luka Doncic, obviously going to miss like at least 6 games from what I understand. Dallas has had 2 days off, but they do play tomorrow. Houston has had a day off, but they are still in that 4-6 stretch mode, and they've been struggling lately. I like this game a lot. Let's start with the Dallas side. Jalen Brunson's probably my favorite value play on the day. Not probably, he is. On both sides, we expect him to start. We expect him to play a lot of point guard minutes. His usage has been good without Luka in the past. Love Brunson. Tim Hardaway Jr. is probable. On FanDuel, he's like a virtual lock for me, at least in cash. But probably in tournaments too. I love Hardaway today. I think this is like not the exact same spot, but I think it's somewhat similar to what we had with Eric Gordon in that nobody wanted to play him on DraftKings because he was expensive, but he was cheap on FanDuel. I don't think Hardaway's going for 60 or 70, whatever Gordon did that day. But if you think about it, if he's 6K and you're looking for 6X, it's really only 36, and I think it's definitely reachable for him. I expect him to take a lot of shots. This is they're playing Houston. It's going to be a lot of 3-shot. There's going to be a lot of all that. So I like Hardaway. He is one of the mid-tier guys I do like quite a bit today. And while, again, on FanDuel, he'll be extremely popular, on DraftKings, I think he'll be pretty low owned, as most people go stars and scrubs, I think. So Brunson and Hardaway are my 2 favorites. After that, it is Kristaps Porzingis. He hasn't played more than, let's see exactly what he's played. He played 20 minutes against Phoenix in a blowout, had 4 fouls. 26 against Oklahoma City, 25 against the Thunder. Since coming back from his injury, he hasn't played more than 27 minutes. And that was actually in his first game back. They have a game tomorrow. I'm thinking if he's playing today, that maybe they'll try to play him a little more today. We know in the past he's played a couple times without Luka, and he was posting 50s on a regular. So, again, Porzingis, another mid-tier option I do like quite a bit. On FanDuel, he's popping pretty hard over 6X as a projection. He may not get 31 minutes, but keep in mind that his usage will be elevated without Luka. So, even if he only got like 28, 29, I think he could still do some work at that price if he's efficient. I'm not saying it's easy. You'll probably see a lot of PJ Tucker, but he's 7'1". PJ Tucker is 6'5". Gobert couldn't do it, but Porzingis could actually shoot, so things might be differently this time. He could just shoot right over him. So I do like Porzingis as well. I like those 3 guys. DeLon Wright's interesting. JJ Barea, I do want to like one of these guards a little bit more. It could be Seth Curry, but it's hard to project who's going to do what. Who's going to play backup point guard? Is it DeLon Wright who's going to get some backup point guard, or is it going to be JJ Barea? I guess that depends on what their starting lineup actually looks like. So this could be a sneaky spot for DeLon Wright. He's another, he could be a high point per minute producer if he's given the opportunity, and he might be given that a chance today. Obviously on FanDuel, a little easier to take that shot where he's 42 or his 5K. It's tough. He's not showing up a ton, and it's hard to project him for more. We just don't know. Same thing with Barea. I mean, he's got upside too. He could play 17 minutes and go for 30 DraftKings points. If he gets 20, he can go for even more. It's just hard to figure out how much they actually plan on giving these guys. But the top 3 you see here, Brunson, Hardaway, Porzingis, I will have. Brunson will have the most, Hardaway second, Porzingis third. Next up, we got Houston, James Harden, and Westbrook. Those are the 2 studs I'm getting the most of as of now, I think. Let me just check. I am getting more Westbrook as of right now because you can see what I did to Westbrook's minutes. AD's the second highest on stud I have right now. So, yeah, Westbrook's the highest on stud I have as of now. And, I mean, matchup-wise, this is a great matchup for both Harden and Westbrook. Not that Luka makes a difference defensively, but Dallas is not a good defensive team. I fully expect these players to, at least one of these guys to play well, if not both. Their prices have come down, or at least, Harden's prices come down. Harden's still projecting to be one of the higher owned studs, which I'm just kind of scratching my head about. As of right now, I'm looking at about 26% Harden and about 40% Westbrook, just from the split I have. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it. I've switched back and forth, but I keep screwing myself. There's really nothing else from the Rockets I want. Maybe Hardenstein could do the troll drop today. Dallas, not that they're great bigs, but they do have some big players in Maxi Kleber, Willie Cauley-Stein, Kristaps Porzingis. So maybe if Porzingis is shooting clear over PJ Tucker, maybe that is what's going to force Hardenstein on the court. I don't know. Not really something I'm trying to take a shot with. I think we have enough value elsewhere. It's mainly Westbrook and Harden. Keep in mind, Clint Capella is out, so I would expect their usage, Harden and Westbrook, to be even higher. If you wanted to use that as an excuse to play some Noodle House or Eric Gordon on FanDuel or something like that, or I think it's fine, but it's Harden and Westbrook for me from this team. That's pretty much it. Nothing else, too else. What up, Cooks? Okay, get him, Charles. I'm with you. Say they joined the movement. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Welcome, my friend. Welcome. Always good. Always good to have people on board. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit the like button if you haven't already. We're going to go on to the next game. Memphis and New Orleans. This is like crunch time. We're getting to the juice of it right here. This is the meat. Starting with Memphis. Okay. We have a 242.5 total, highest on the slate. New Orleans opened up -4.5 after all this news and everything we've gotten. They're up to -7.5. Real quick, I'm going to tell you guys, I placed one bet today so far. NBA betting is kind of my thing. But I actually did a teaser. I don't do teasers often. I just really liked some of the schedule matches, and I just didn't love the spreads I was getting by the time I reached them. That teaser I did is a 5-point teaser. I think I got +180 for the odds. And it's I teased up Detroit, who I think I have them at 9.5. I teased down New Orleans. At the time it was 6.5, so I think I got like 1.5. And I teased down Milwaukee, who we'll talk about in a little bit. A little teaser action if you want to get down. I don't know what the spreads are now, what you can get. I took it at the DraftKings book, but anyway, highest total game on the slate. Both of these teams are playing really well. In terms of schedule, the Grizzlies have had a day off. It's only a 3-4. It's not great. It's not bad, though. New Orleans has had 2 days off, so they're nice and rested. So with the Memphis side, you got Kyle. We know that Brandon Clark is doubtful. We heard that D'Anthony Melton is now questionable. So there's a few things we want to look at here and analyze. So Solomon Hill and Kyle Anderson were going to be pretty chalky going into this with Melton out. With Melton in, I still think they'll be popular for the people that want to play like Dame and LeBron and AD and Harden and all these studs. But I don't want to ignore the mid-tier. I think the mid-tier of these guys is also pretty strong. Ja Morant, for instance, 6'9". His minutes maybe a little more solidified. Again, I do think that Melton being out would have been better for a lot of these guys. But it is what it is. Jonas Valanciunas, probably one of the best plays on the slate right now. At least on DraftKings where he's 6'3". With no Clark, no Jaren Jackson, I mean, that's their bigs. And New Orleans does have Zion. They do have Derek Favors. So we'll see. I mean, I guess it's possible that Memphis just tries to go a little smaller. But I don't see how Joe Val doesn't get a floor of 30 minutes today, which he could absolutely do work in 30 minutes in a pace-up matchup. Both these teams are fast-paced. Memphis top 10, New Orleans one of the top in the league. So I'll have some Solomon Hill. I'll have some Kyle Anderson because they still have a power forward void they have to fill. But I think that D'Anthony Melton, if he plays, if Melton is out, I'll raise my exposure on Anderson and Solomon Hill and Crowder. But I think as of right now, the value plays that are my favorite are Melton and Crowder. Those are my preferred value plays. And after that, well, obviously Solomon Hill and Anderson. I think they'll play a lot of 4. They could slide Crowder down to the 4. That's my main concern. As far as mid-tier plays, Joe Val's number 1, Ja Morant number 2, Dillon Brooks number 3 for me. I know with Melton back, there's a chance like Melton, Crowder, and Brooks, and they all kind of rotate in and out as wings for each other. But it's possible they could just slide Dillon Brooks. Dillon Brooks is like 6'7" or 6'6". They could slide him down to the 3, no problem. So Crowder, Brooks, and Melton, that's an interesting situation. Out of those 3, I like Melton the most, Crowder second, Brooks third. But I mean, this is a team you're going to want to grab some exposure to. I do think New Orleans kind of rolls them. That's why I placed the bet. I only need them to win by 1.5, but 2. But I mean, it is what it is. Highest total game on the slate. Get some, right? At least there's got to be some pieces here that you're going to need tonight. Whether it be the mid-tier guys, the value guys, or all of them, there's going to be something here. We did just get news that Gary Harris has been ruled out again. So we'll get there later. Markieff Morris is available to play as well, so we don't got to do anything there. Luka out at least 6 games. Get yourself plenty of Memphis. New Orleans, I love Zion today. Zion got 30 minutes in the last game. He's gotten minute increases in every game. I anticipate him getting a little bit more today. Maybe he gets up to 32 or 33. He's playing Memphis, who is very short on bigs. So I love Zion. I'm cool with Favors, too, at his price point. He's not playing a ton of minutes, but the option is there. Holiday, a really low-owned tournament play. Expensive price, but he's been playing great. And this is a great matchup for Holiday against Memphis. So I don't know how much I reach because of the price point, but he would kind of fit in line with those mid-tier builds we were talking about before. Lonzo Ball would as well. I don't want to ignore him. I don't know what else to do. We've got him projected for 36 minutes. It's a plus matchup. Now, he's not a big shooter, but he is getting a lot of peripherals. So that day comes where he does shoot somewhat efficiently, and he's got the massive ceiling. So I'm good with it. Brandon Ingram, I can't. He's going to play like 33, 34. I put 32 just because I want to reflect how his usage has gone down dramatically with Zion Williamson there. So Zion would be my favorite by far. After that, I think that Ball and Holiday are the next two I'd contemplate. Then Favors, then Ingram, and then I'd look at the Josh Hart-Redick situation. But again, man, solid mid-tier game stack here. Very solid on both sides of this. For sure, there's another mid-tier game stack we'll get to that I'm interested in a second. But, I mean, this is one of the key games on the slate here. The Dallas side, the Memphis side, New Orleans side just for pure pace and projected points as a team. It's going to be juicy. Real juicy. Dante DiVincenzo out, huh? Well, that's exciting. Is that right? Yeah, Dante DiVincenzo out. So I guess we'll get to Milwaukee in a second. We'll get to Milwaukee in a second there. All right, let's go to the next one. We've got the Denver game. How fitting. Perfect. We got Denver at Milwaukee, 226 total. Milwaukee is now a 12.5 point favorite. They opened up at 9.5. This was the third team in my teaser. I have it at 6 with the teaser. So on the Denver side, really, really tough part of the schedule. Back-to-back, 3-4, 4-6, all that good stuff. They barely beat Utah last night, who was on the same stretch, back-to-back, 4-6, travel, altitude. The game was it just looked terrible. I can't help but think Milwaukee just rolls on Denver today, especially with how thin they are. We got to make an update here to Gary Harris. I'll take care of that on the transition before the next show. But I can tell you right now that it's going to raise Malik Beasley's projection because we're going to raise his minutes. It's going to raise Michael Porter Jr.'s projection, which would definitely make him an interesting option today in that mid-tier as well. We'll probably raise him up to around 26 minutes or so, which I think will make him pop. But I do think that Gary Harris is kind of interesting. I'm sorry, not Gary Harris. I do think that Will Barton is kind of interesting. His price is really low. He's just been terrible. Nikola Jokic is playing monster minutes. If I thought this game was going to stay close, there's a lot of people from Denver I'd like. Will Barton, I'd love. Jokic, I'd love. I am a little concerned with the spot in the schedule. This game does not stay close. And I'm concerned that if it gets really ugly really quick, that Denver will just quit early and get their guys some rest. It's speculation, but Vegas seems to agree, right? That line moved pretty dramatically. So, Will Barton, I will have shares of. Jokic, I'll have a little bit of. Michael Porter Jr., I'm sure I'm going to have because we're going to raise his projection in a minute, and he's already close to projecting pretty well for us. And then Malik Beasley, I probably will work in there. Just another value option. Whatever gets me off, like some of those Memphis guys, I think is cool. Let's see how much Beasley played last night. Beasley played 24 minutes, went for 17 DraftKings points, shot 2 for 8. Had a bad game. Had he shot a little bit better, maybe a different tune. But he's 3,300 now with Gary Harris out. So, situation we'll want to revisit. But not terribly interested in the main guys of Denver. Even though Jokic is playing like 35, 36 minutes, I just think this game's going to get ugly. Part of the reason this game's going to get ugly, aside from the fact that Denver's missing their, with 2 of their main starters, is also that Milwaukee is getting Giannis back, and Milwaukee is extremely rested right now. So they had that game, I think it was in France. They had 4 days off when they got back. They played 1 game, and then they had 2 games off, and Giannis missed that game. So they're just extremely rested. I expect them all to be extremely efficient. With what's his name? With DiVincenzo out, and again, I'll remove him in a second. I would assume that's going to give some more minutes to maybe like, oh, is George Hill out also? So who the hell? Yeah, George Hill's already out. That's right. Hamstring strain. Okay. So let's consider this for a second. Who's going to end up playing backup point guard? I guess. I mean, we'll probably see more Pat Connaughton somewhere in that, right? Maybe they have to play Bledsoe a little bit more. Bledsoe was the one I thought was the most reachable anyway. But I'm definitely intrigued. This is something I'll analyze between the break and see. They got no backup point guard at this point. Those guys are out. And it could be interesting because Giannis is going to be really low owned today. So if he ends up handling the ball or if he ends up playing some minutes just to get some work because he hasn't played, he could do some work. And again, Jokic is a terrible defender against bigs. So I know Giannis isn't exactly a center, but he is a big, like the way he plays. So it could be a sneaky spot for him. I may have to, again, I'll update this. We'll see if we have to raise Giannis's projection. I don't know if we're going to raise it enough to make him pop over those other studs at this point. But, I mean, I don't take much. He's such a high point per minute player. If we gave him 2 more minutes, you'd be surprised what it would do to his projection. So we'll analyze this in the in-between. Maybe there's some Milwaukee guys we can look at now with this situation being open. I don't know if we're going to need the cheap guys. I'm more referring to are the main guys any more viable. Brook Lopez, we talked about how bad Denver's been against centers. He's not your traditional center, but Jokic is just horrible defensively. So I'm okay with it. But yeah, interesting development with this situation here. I would think Connaughton plays a little more because of it. So he's min-price on both sides, right? Yeah, Jeffrey says Grant has been I'm talking about Denver. Grant has been their best player, but his price keeps going up. Yeah, I agree. He's been really good. He's playing a ton of minutes with all the injuries. I agree, though. That would be the issue is his price continues to outpace his performance. Like it's starting to get to that point where it's real close. It's real thin, and there's not a lot of room for error. So Denver, Milwaukee. We'll come back to that one. Hit the like button, guys, if you haven't already. We're going to move on to the next game here, which is the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Phoenix Suns. Let's see. OKC's on the road here. We have a 222.5 total. OKC, the Thunder open up as 1 point underdogs. They're now 1 point favor. The Suns are now 1 point favorites. Let me see something here real quick. Wait 1 sec. Do some dirties here. All right, let's go into, as far as schedule goes, Oklahoma City's had a day off. It's a 3-5. Phoenix has had 2 days off. We'll start with the OKC side. Steven Adams way too cheap on DraftKings. On FanDuel, it's competitive. You got 1 center. It's harder to make a case. On DraftKings at 4-9, where you can have 2 centers, way too cheap against the Suns. I know his minutes have been somewhat limited, playing around 25, 26, but that's with an ankle injury. You would think that it's just going to get better with time. And again, this is a phenomenal spot for bigs for Adams. So I do like Adams quite a bit. I like Gallinari, another mid-tier play. 6,200 on both sides just seems too low. We got him projected for 32.5 minutes, rounding up to 33, which I think is reasonable for a game that's anticipated to be close. Dennis Schroeder's played really well, and our projections don't reflect how well he's been lately. The price is up. I still find it hard to get there. That's why I didn't make that much of an effort to try and raise his projection. Chris Paul, also a viable mid-tier point guard. You can see it's a really solid mid-tier game. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I like a lot. Shooting guard eligible, obviously, on DraftKings. On FanDuel, you can see the prices of these guys are a little higher, so it's more, I think, of maybe a little more of a DraftKings deal. Although I think on FanDuel, you'll get really low ownerships anyway. So I like this team quite a bit. I like this game quite a bit in terms of gain stacks. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander would be my favorite. Steven Adams second, then then Gallo, then Chris Paul. But I'm definitely interested in this game as a game stack. Low ownership. As far as the Suns go, Rubio's price has gotten really low. On FanDuel, it's been down here. He's been like this he's been like 6, which isn't much more on FanDuel, but it's just, He's been terrible. And part of that is because Devin Booker's really stepped up his game. Booker, his first game since the All-Star snub. So I like Rubio, but I'm not going to go crazy heavy on him. I'd rather have more Booker shares, I think, for the ceiling. Rubio did go for 30, I think, like 40 DraftKings points against Chris Paul last time they played. But so I'm interested. And again, I think it makes sense in the mid-tier, lower-owned option. But Kelly Oubre and Booker are really the ones. Oubre I'm going to have a lot of. We got him projected for 37 minutes, which is what he's been playing. This dude's playing like 38, 39. The prices are too low. The matchup is what it is, but Oubre's minutes are too high. I like the mid-tier build. He's a player I'm going to have a lot of. I'll be way overweight compared to the rest of the field. But again, that's because I'm pushing more towards a balanced build in general, and our projections are leading us there. Mikal Bridges, a value option. That's it. DeAndre Ayton, always interesting. All right, usually plays big minutes. But it's really Oubre for me first, then Booker, and then it's Rubio, Ayton next for me. But again, I talked about the mid-tier being kind of strong today, and I think this is one of the games along with Memphis, New Orleans, and some other spots along the way. I think there's a lot of solid mid-tier options. That's why I like the mid-tier so much today. Mid-tier status. What about Middleton? Middleton, the price is up. I mean, his ownership's going to be low. He could be relied on to run the offense, no doubt. With all three guys healthy, it's tough. They're just priced up. And I don't know if DiVincenzo being out is going to make that much of a difference. They'll find guys to play in garbage time if they don't want to play these guys. Now, there's a possibility, since they haven't played in a long time and they're home, that they go ahead and play their starters more than they would. But what's that going to be, 30-31, opposed to the 28-29 they usually do? So I'm a little concerned. Rubio dirt cheap on FanDuel, yes. Courtney Parker, does Paulie D still use the Stars and Scrubs process for one of your old videos? That was something he was doing more, really a lot on FanDuel when they had the 3K pricing. And then he was doing it again when they had the drop score thing. But without it, I don't think it's not exactly the same. Things change. But I would ask him directly what his thoughts are on that. I want to speak on his behalf. You know what I mean? We got one more game left, and then we'll take a little break before we set up for the second show. If you haven't already hit the like button, please do. If you're just joining us, welcome. Let's do the dirty. We need the likes so that YouTube knows who the real deal is and knows who to push. Because if you want the industry to grow, you got to have the best minds being pushed. And that's what we're doing. Let's go to the last game. We've got the Portland Trailblazers visiting the Los Angeles Lakers. This game should be pretty emotional, right? For those of you narrative backers, I'm sure this one's interesting to you. So, just see one thing real quick. All right, let's look at the schedule here. So one thing that's interesting, if you notice, the Lakers are really big favorites. We've got a 230 total. The Lakers are 13-point favorites at home over Portland. 13. That's a big number. They were just big favorites against Houston. They went outright. Oh, they weren't that big of favorites. They were. Houston was favored. Houston, they were underdogs, and it wasn't that big. Another bet I had, Holla, going against the Sharps and winning. Sharp what? They ain't sharp on that. They get sharp these nuts. All right, with that said, looking at the Portland side, Carmelo Anthony is out. I know there's some confusion there because DraftKings had a tag that said he's got a personal thing. He's not with a team, but he hasn't been officially ruled out. I've heard from the sources that I trust that he is out. He's not playing. It is a personal thing. I don't know where he is, but I heard he is not playing. So, take that for what it's worth. So we've got him out, to be clear. With that said, curious to see what they do for the starting lineup. As they fill Carmelo's spot, they could use guys like Nazir Little, who's extremely cheap. We could see Caleb Swanigan get some run. He's been trying to get some run, and they've already said they kind of want him in the rotation. He's also very cheap, but we don't actually know. And that makes things difficult because they could very easily use Trevor Ariza a ton, which I think they will. With Anthony Davis out, with the size of the Lakers, you would think they would try to go bigger. So just between Jalen Horde, Nazir Little, and Caleb Swanigan, it's hard to tell which one. I would think Little gets the start, but it doesn't mean he gets the most run. So the situation is kind of difficult to read. As far as the main players, I'm fine with Dame. He's going to go low owned once again. They lowered his price. He's red hot right now. I personally think that the Lakers are a significantly better team than Portland. It's just a personal belief of mine. I understand Portland's played really well, and the Lakers haven't played all that well lately. I know they've had some injuries they've been dealing with, but they haven't played all that well. But Whiteside, Dame, McCollum. Those are your main three if you want to stack this game or you want to get exposure here. Whiteside, I would think they're going to have to use a ton because of how big the Lakers really are. And Ariza on FanDuel is really cheap. Really cheap if you needed it there. I do prefer Hardaway, though, at the same price. On the other side here, we've got the Lakers. So I've heard a lot of talk. I know Paulie is. You'll hear him in a second. I think Paulie is going to be big on LeBron. I think he and a few other people seem to think LeBron's going to, come out here and just, take every shot he can and try to beat Kobe's scoring record, whatever the case may be. I'm not going to buy too much into the narrative aspect. I'm just trying to look more at the numbers of this. And I'm going to have some LeBron, but I do prefer Anthony Davis. I think for one, he's cheaper. Two, I think he's a literal matchup nightmare for Portland, as Whiteside is supposedly or probably occupied with one of McGee or Dwight Howard. I would think that's going to mean like some of these, younger cats are going to end up on AD. I mean, and Whiteside can't guard AD anyway, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, I'm interested in Anthony Davis. I'll have some LeBron. It's mainly the two studs. Keep an eye on Alex Caruso's status. If he gets ruled out, he's questionable. If he gets ruled out, I think that Rondo could pick up a minute or two from that situation, and he's also really cheap as a potential option, value option. So, keep an eye out for that. That's all I'm saying. Just keep an eye out. As far as game by games, that's pretty much it. That's where I'm at. So again, let's look at some ownership projections and get an idea, I guess. I mean, Brunson and Joval, no doubt, would be popular, and I'm going to have a ton of them. I don't care how chalky it is. It's the other chalk that I think I might try to leverage in some way. But we know that part. I'm seeing multiple sites indicate that the Lakers are going to be popular studs. Like LeBron James, I'm seeing above all the other studs now. That wasn't the case earlier in the day. I'm starting to see that now, though, between multiple sources. So I guess LeBron will be a little popular today. Again, I'm going to have LeBron, no doubt. Danuel House will start for Clint Capella, so another value play option. Danuel House played really well in that game without those guys. He played like 42 minutes that day. I don't think that's going to be the case today, but so I'm assuming that they're going to slide PJ Tucker down to the 5, play Danuel House at the 4 is what I'm assuming they're going to do. So we'll see. I would think that PJ Tucker is the one that picks up Porzingis, but I don't know. Going to be small once again. I can dig it. Let's see if we're ready to make some updates to this. Quite. Pop in and see if there's any questions. What do you think about Adams tonight? Yeah, I do like Adams quite a bit. He's gotten 24 and 26, I think, over his last couple games. So I think he's going to get around there. And at that point, with how cheap he is in the matchup, I'm completely fine with it. I think he's fine. Now, again, like I'm going to say right now, Joval is going to take up a lot of my center units, and I have to split whatever's left over with Drummond, who's in a really good spot, maybe even a little Jokic. Let's look at some of the centers in my pool right now, actually. Joval, AD, Zion, Porzingis, Adams. Taking away Porzingis, AD, and Zion, say you just wanted like true centers. Adams is technically my second highest right now, and then I have some Drummond, some Ibaka, a little bit of Whiteside, and Jokic, doing 170 teams. Currently have 32 players in the pool. Highest exposed by far are currently Valanciunas, Brunson. My third highest right now is DeAnthony Melton. If he's in, I love DeAnthony Melton. On a point per minute basis, he's got a pretty solid average. He's pretty active. I do think if he's out, it's going to make me more interested in Crowder, of course, but also Solomon Hill and what's his name, Kyle Anderson. But right now, I've got Melton taking up a lot of ownership at the current moment. So, and I'm fine with that if he's in. We just don't know if he's in. He's a game time decision, so that'll be something we're waiting for. I'll check and see. Oh, here's a question on the Twitch from K Kenny. What's up, bro? Little over Ariza. Well, Ariza's gonna play. Ariza's gonna start regardless, but Ariza has been starting at the 3. That's not changing. Ariza might play 40 minutes today if the game stays close. If not, then everything's out the window. But Ariza is gonna play, but they still need someone to play for Melo's spot, and that's where I think that Little or somebody like that may get the run. Now, Ariza, regardless of where he plays, I can tell you that if the game stays close, he's gonna play a shit ton of minutes. The other ones, Little, Horde, I don't know who they're going to use. They're probably going to try whoever works the best and stick with that guy. So there is some things that we don't know that we still got to figure out a little bit. Smashing with a question. Zion or Porzingis on FanDuel? Zion or Porzingis? Let's look and see who we have projected. I think Zion we have projected better. Let's take a look. FanDuel, you said. So Porzingis we have at 6x. It's going to be hard to beat, but I think Zion is pretty close. New Orleans. Zion we have at 5 points. So on FanDuel, it looks... On FanDuel, I guess I would say Porzingis. Now, as far as like the sites and why it matters, Zion we have a 5.72 on DraftKings, while Porzingis we have a 5.71. So ironically, I would say Porzingis on FanDuel and Zion on DraftKings. I think they're both good plays, though. I do. I like them both. DiVincenzo is out now. Yes. Yes, he is. So is Gary Harris. We got some things we have to update. This DeAnthony Melton thing is going to suck. Just not knowing. Like, wondering the whole time. And that game is not until... I believe that game is not until 8 o'clock, right? Yeah, 8 o'clock. So, unfortunately, for FanDuel players, you may not know. You may have to make a decision without actually knowing. Let's see where we're at with this. Why don't we do this? I'm going to do a quick update session for Milwaukee. We have a couple minutes. I don't want to leave you guys hanging too long with downtime, so I'm going to make some updates here. I'm going to make an update for let's talk about this DiVincenzo situation here. And then if we have time, I'll do the same thing. All right, so let's pull up Milwaukee. All right, so as you can see, we got DiVincenzo, and we're going to make some adjustments now. I'm going to raise Giannis's minutes a little bit because I think that not being that they have no point guard, they might have to play their guys a little bit more. So I am going to give some slight increases to some of these guys and their main unit. They just don't have the bodies. Pat Connaughton, we're going to give an increase to, but how much could we possibly give him? Let's go here. Let's see what this does to our crunches. I'm gonna see. All right, so now you should see this pop in a second here. See some changes. So as you can see, Giannis is now, by giving him those minutes, I told you to make a dramatic difference. Now he's at 5.3x and he's competing raw points wise as far as that goes. Bledsoe a little more on the radar. It helped him a lot on FanDuel. Bledsoe. Didn't help him that much on DraftKings. Same thing with Middleton. A little more help on FanDuel, though not a ton. Pat Connaughton, we did give him about 20 and a half to 21 minutes. It didn't change the whole ton. It's still not going to give us a ton. So, I mean, Giannis is the main person I think that's affected for us. And I'm good with that. Let's take a look maybe at Denver. We got some things to change here. And then I'll see what impact it had. I'll see if it made any changes or anything. Let y'all know if I'm getting more of a certain player. Let's go. So Denver. How many minutes did Michael Porter Jr. play yesterday? Porter played 25. So we'll give him 25 today. We'll give him 25 and a half. Monta Morris, I'm good with. Torrey Craig. Malik Beasley, we did increase. I believe. Put him at 24 or so. All right, so let's take a look. Let me just flop this to Denver so you guys can see what's about to happen. All right, so we're gonna make a complete change here. All right, so looking at Denver, let's see what happens. Barton is the one I'm worried about. Yeah, it's going to end up wanting us to play a lot of Barton, and I'm a little nervous about that. Projects for 6x at his price. Jokic popping a lot more. He's been playing monster minutes, as we mentioned. Porter looking strong. I'm going to make some little adjustments. I think Barton will put it like 33 and a half from 34. Jokic, I'm worried it's going to end up giving us a lot of Denver now, like more than I wanted, for a team that I think is going to get blown out. But let's see. We don't want to sit there and get too cute and take good players off our table. And I would imagine that Denver is going to go low on because of how big of underdogs they are and all the other good plays on the slate. So right now I'm uploading the projections. I'm going to run a crunch and I'll let you guys know if anything major changed. These are, of course, using the WiseTake projections that are available at wisetake.com. By the way, any update I do that you guys see me do here, it's live on our projections on the site. So those take effect. Bam. Oh, yeah, getting a lot of Barton now. A lot of Barton and a lot of Jokic. So I'm going to make some adjustments there because I am nervous about that game. Getting a little bit of Giannis, not getting as much Michael Porter Jr. as I thought I would. Say we put him at 26. 33. Making some updates. Slip it Melton as well. All right, let me see what we've got here. So we're not there yet, but it is, as far as what's different, it's giving me more Barton than I had before and more Jokic than I had before, which I don't necessarily hate that, but again, I'm a little concerned with the blowout, so I think I'm going to lower the minutes by like half a minute on everyone just to kind of reduce it. I want some. I don't want to ignore it. I just don't know if I want that much at this moment. And again, we are getting a little bit of Giannis now, which I think is cool because it's going to be really long. We don't need a lot to be at the field. That's going to do it for part one, Nation. I'm going to get out of here. We're going to bring on Stevie Brown and Paulie D for part two. We'll go over some optimal builds, answer some questions, and if there's time, and do some dirties that way. So don't go anywhere. We're going to flip the screen. You don't have to change. It's going to be right here on the stream. We're just going to take a little pause real quick. And we'll be right back. Hit the like button, guys. We'll be right back. I'm going to try to play some music.
What we do here is go back.
What up, nation? We are back with part 2 of the NBA Wise stream. We are joined by the GOAT, the true OG, Paulie D. But also, it is time to get down. That's right, nation. It's time to get down with Stevie Brown. You can find him on Twitter at Stevie Brown DFS. Paulie, I'm going to start with you. What's happening, Paulie?
What up, baby?
You know what it is. Stevie, what's happening, bro? How you living?
I'm trying to pick apart the slate right now. It's kind of tough, man. Big difference on both sides, and I told you pre-show too. I can't wait to see which Memphis guy's gonna fuck me over tonight. Yeah. But it's a wild slate.
I mean, I never envied the cash game guys, but I definitely don't today. Like this is a day where
yeah,
especially with not knowing like who's playing or what we're working with. I'm going to ask you guys each like your overall thoughts of the slate. Paulie, I'm going to start with you first. I just want to get your general overview. What build do you think is going to be popular, and what is your plan? Are you going with that popular build? Are you going to do something a little bit different? Let's start with you, Paulie.
There's one answer here. Go ahead, say it.
Stars and Scrubs is the popular build. And I think like a balanced lineup, like a couple stars with some value and then a bunch of mid-tier kind of stuff is going to win the slate. Like not like a full-blown stars and scrubs where you jam like 3 of them in with like 4 or 5 guys on their 5K, but 1.5 to 2 studs with 2 of like the better value plays and then a handful, because the mid-tier is actually really strong and I don't think should be ignored.
Who in the mid-tier do you love? Like I'm with you too. Like there's some mid-tier names like Porzingis, Ibaka, John Morant, that are appealing too. But like, who in the mid tier, like, are your? Sorry, we're getting into this early. Like Brandon Ingram, but like, which of the mid tier guys like you would rather handpick and say like, I think these will be on that winning like not full stars and scrubs lineup, and they can have like a full ceiling day. Ingram's up there, of course. Like I said, John Morant, sure.
Yeah. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Kelly Oubre, Porzingis, Michael Porter Jr., Joval, Jared Allen, just to name a few. Like, there's a bunch. Let me think. Who else?
'Cause I like the idea of it too. Like, I think there's like Valanciunas is cheap, but like,
yeah.
I think sorry if I'm going off on a tangent here and getting us off course already, but like,
tangent away, Stevie.
Do it.
I think the biggest question too, and it's mostly stars and scrubs tonight. Like we said it already before. Like, look at the stars we have, and there's a fucking lot of them tonight. Like Giannis, are you playing him? Like, do you think are you considering blowout factor, Denver back to back, and like they're super weak already with all the injuries? Like Harden and Westbrook close up to the same price tag on DK. Like that in itself. Like, what are you doing between them two? Like You're going to play Harden over Westbrook, I'm assuming?
No. I'm really not high on either, but I would play them both around the same. I'm like tired of having less Westbrook than Harden, but I know like the moment I fucking pivot, the opposite will happen. So I am going to just kind of play them both around 15 to 20%. But I like 3 studs significantly more than them 2 today.
Restart significantly. To me, like I'm looking at my cash game line right now, and I have 5 spots filled, and I'm looking at kind of the stars I want now for my lineup. And I'm assuming I was going to play one of Harden or Westbrook. How the fuck do you choose between them? Like, is Harden really something so bad that we need to pick Westbrook, or like you see some regression here tonight? Like,
Harden, like his shot volume is way down. Like he's really like. Just letting Westbrook do a lot more, and I forget what it was, like a thigh injury, like it might just be bothering him more. Like he's played through injuries before, and he's just not the same. And it's not like I think the Westbrook impact is real. That he's not gonna just go for 80 every day because Westbrook's equally as aggressive, and they both so many minutes. And I think, that's had an effect on his rebounds, his assists. Like, he's nowhere near the triple-double threat he was last year, like, as consistent at least. But right now, I think there's even more wrong because, he's just really taken a back seat to Westbrook. And, the only reason to play Harden more than Westbrook is, like, because of what he's done in the past. Like, but realistically, looking at, like, recent, I don't see how you justify Harden over Westbrook right now.
Okay. See, was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6 to 7 games over 65, 60 DKP? Which is fucking nuts for Westbrook. Oh, man. So you said I think you said 3 studs you rather play over the 2 of them. Had to guess?
Mm-hmm.
And studs, we're going to say what, 9K plus or 10K plus?
You
said 9K, it's not enough 10K.
You say 9, yeah.
Well, kind of hinted to him before. Lillard?
Definitely.
Jokic?
Nope.
Anthony Davis?
No, but he'd probably be ahead of those guys too.
It's someone that, like, you rarely hear Paulie actually like.
The fuck?
Who's left? There's not that many left.
There's Drummond, there's Devin Booker.
Nope.
I'll give you a hint. He's a teammate of Anthony Davis.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh, we're talking so Army.
Yeah, LeBron. And then
LeBron.
And then Drummond, Smashington spot for him. He plays a ton of minutes. I don't know. His price is down. It's been a minute since he's really balled out, but he does get a ton of blocks and steals when it all kind of comes together. And at 9-3, I just I prefer him as well. And then, like, honestly, like, so, like, I'm on this thing where, like, Harden and Westbrook are just like, there's 2 and it's too many mouths, right? Like, I want the onesie spots, right? Like, so Dame's the only stud on his team. Like, Drummond's the only stud on his team. Like, Giannis, I'm just worried about the blowout, and he's expensive as shit, so we'd have to go to the moon. So, like, it's more like, I think with him, you want a game stack when you get exposure to him. But, I mean, he could still go to 70, in a blowout. So, like, I kind of like every stud over Russell and Harden right now. But they're not, like, far away. I just, I'm just a little bit down on them. I kind of think that game blows out. I don't see how Dallas hangs without Luka. So I'm not that into them. And I kind of think the industry is, like, falling behind on, like, recognizing that, like, these guys aren't the same anymore. And, like, there's players on other teams that are just doing better on a consistent basis.
Now I'm going to go through a couple more questions for you. Booker, 9K, all-star snub. You like him?
A little, but, I don't know. I, like, I'm just, like, I'm concerned that there's, like, one too many mouths to feed over there. And, like, yeah, if it's a close game and they're, like, coming from behind, he'll take every shot down the stretch. But, like, I'm kind of expecting Rubio to start playing better, Oubre, and with the emergence of Ayton, like, I think there's going to be some spots where, he doesn't need to do as much. And, like, the price is higher now. So, like, I think I'd rather play Irving than Booker.
Yeah. Obviously the better matchup there too.
And Levine, I think I'd rather play over Booker right now because the Bulls are just, they don't have many guys. So, like, I think Levine's, like, in a similar, that solo stud situation and in a great matchup.
The other thing I was going to ask too, I mean, I know you don't play a ton of cash games, but this is more so a cash game question. When we have a full, which is pretty obvious, stars and scrub slate with all the Memphis value and like Brunson's there and stuff like that, how are you weighing the stars with, like, potential blowout value? So, like, obviously, like, Milwaukee is a bit, like, a 13.5 point spread there. Like, maybe Giannis, which we always see, doesn't get full allotment of minutes.
Yep.
Same thing with, like, LeBron and AD. Like, they have a 14 point spread there now. Like, how is that really, like, how do you weigh that when there's a bunch of other studs in the slate? Like, are you thinking, oh, maybe that can impact their minutes and their production? Like, I'd rather have less of them when I can play more of, like, a Jokic, or not even Jokic, because we said big spread there too.
But yeah, no, I understand your question. And like, so I definitely worry about that with Milwaukee, with like Denver on a back-to-back and in a rough stretch of their schedule. Like they just traveled, playing a super rested Milwaukee team. Like I'm definitely concerned about them getting blown up. They're shorthanded. The Lakers spread, I just am just wildly confused by. Like if I was gambling, I'd be hitting Portland hard, money line, and taking the 13 for a shit ton. Like I'd put like 1,000 on them plus 13 or 14, whatever line you got, and then like 250 on them on the money line.
I smashed Pelicans like -4.5 super early. Then I got Clark News came out. I guess the line, everyone started buying that. So at like -8.5 or something like that. So hoping that hits.
Yeah, do that dirty. But absolutely, like that's why I'm a little concerned. I'm like not that interested in Jokic and Giannis, and really, if I do play them, I'm probably going to do it in game stacks where like I force the opto into a game stack of that game and just run like 3 or 4 teams and then pop those into my my ultimate team spreadsheet. But otherwise, like I'm kind of staying away because I'm worried about that. The Lakers game, I don't see. I think Trailblazers should be like 4-point underdogs.
So moving into, again, kind of picking out our stars tonight, I'm looking at our value, which there's an absolute ton of, like I said before, especially with Memphis. I'm saying picking out these guys on purpose. Solomon Hill, Kyle Anderson, Torrey Craig, Jay Crowder, they're all popping like crazy. Then we move over to our stars, and the highest owned out of all of the stars in the slate is LeBron at 30%, which is almost double the ownership of every other star on the slate. The problem with him is he has MPE as point guard, small forward on DK, but like he's the same eligibility as most of our value tonight. Do you think it's worth going to 30% on him?
Yeah. I just, everyone makes this like, is LeBron better than Kobe kind of comparison. And, he wants to like, this is his team and he always makes it about him. And like, I was online at like an auto parts store today and some old grandfathers are talking about how I bet you he goes and scores 61 points just to have one better than Kobe's last game. And like, he's probably going to, try to steal the show. And like, regardless of that, take the narrative out. It's just a really good spot. And he's, price is finally down. And Portland has been one of the best teams to target in DFS. They just play these up and down, super fast paced games lately. So, he's in a really, really good spot. And like it's his first game back from injury, like he's kind of been taking a back seat to LeBron lately. Like we haven't seen like AD take, have more usage or take control of the game. It's always been LeBron. So he's just a really good play regardless of the narrative. But, I kind of just, knowing what LeBron is, like he's going to try to like make this about him. And I anticipate him kind of having a really big game against a team that really doesn't have anybody that can really defend him right now.
That's fair. I think so too. And I think honestly, like as much as they always say, like fuck narratives, and I'm not a believer, I think it is kind of the one day I will fall into kind of the narrative trap, and like at a fair price tag when he does a big ceiling and a reasonable floor too. Like I definitely think it's worth playing him at least in cash games too.
And to like your point about the value, like half those names you said, I think are like not even good plays. Like I do like
Jay Crowder.
I mean, like you can't go play like Jalen Brunson or
Let's transition a little bit. We'll go into our DK cash build because you're gonna help me out here because I'm a little torn here. I got 5 names plugged in and I got a lot of salary remaining, so you're gonna help me out.
Okay.
We're gonna start with the first 3 people I plugged in: Jalen Brunson, Jonas Valanciunas. Agree?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll say the third one is Ja Morant.
Okay.
Final around there.
Yeah. This for a cash lineup.
Yeah, cash.
Yeah, I'd put Porzingis in there too.
Oh man. The next two I got here are Solomon Hill and Kyle Anderson. Kyle Anderson and Solomon Hill just because with everybody out for Memphis, Brandon Clark, Jaren Jackson, Brendan Goodrich, whatever the fuck his name is, all like pretty much their whole front court outside of Valanciunas. Like there's a ton of minutes to go around. Jay Crowder's a little more expensive, and while he's a bigger name, he has the exact same fantasy production as both of those guys. So you'd rather take the discount and play both of those. Like Solomon Hillson at the bare minimum, same per minute player as Jay Crowder, so I'd rather play him for like 1.4K different. So now I have
Right with Kyle Anderson, Solomon Hill. I don't know, man.
for the bare minimum.
I mean, I think Cristiano Felicio against Brooklyn's a better spot. The guy played 25 minutes. You could play.
Would you play Jay Crowder?
Yes, I would definitely play Jay Crowder over Solomon Hill.
But that's going back to what I said. Then why would you play Jay Crowder over Solomon Hill if they're the same perimeter player? Now they should be in line for like similar minutes. I have like Solomon Hill around like 20 to 30 minutes, and like Jay Crowder around like 30 to 32. What makes the biggest thing for Solomon Hill is the same. It's the minimum price tag. Like it's the minimum price tag. It's Pelicans.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we'll find out, But I mean, if you need it, you can use it. But like, I don't know. I just don't think that he's like an optimal play today. I think like he'll get a 16, and you'll be like, why did I play this guy?
Porzingis, obviously no Luka for the next, I think they said like 6 games or so. They're fair priced, I'll say. Like FanDuel, I'm going to be playing him. DK 6'8".
Mm-hmm.
Hasn't played over 26 minutes since returning from that injury. You think he's going to play more than that tonight?
Yeah, I do. And I memean, he doesn't need that many minutes to crush his price. And every game that Luka missed this year, he's gone for 50 fantasy points. So, it's only been like 4 or 5, but I just, assume that he's going to do that or close to. And his price is so low, like even a 40 you'd take. And,
it's the Rockets too. Like that's how good of a matchup can you get.
Yeah, I mean, he should easily get 15 rebounds today.
So if we wanted to plug Porzingis in, that gives us. Hold on, let's see. Does Brunson have? All right, we're going to switch this up. So, Ja Morant, point guard. Where is he? Jalen Brunson, shooting guard. I have Solomon Hill, Kyle Anderson, Valanciunas as my small power and center. What's that?
So you have 5 Grizzlies?
4 right now.
Okay.
Morant, Solomon Hill, Kyle Anderson, Valanciunas, which should take up their whole entire front court minutes pretty much outside of Jay Crowder. Plug Porzingis in.
Today?
What's that?
Do we know who's starting for them today?
Let me see. I'm finding that out now. If we plug Porzingis in there, we have 2 spots left. Guard and utility for 9-7 per player remaining, which is a lot of salary. Decent spots too.
9-7. Really?
9-7.
Yeah. See, so like, I don't think you even need to, play Solomon Hill. I would just, pick out an actual good play on the slate.
Like if you're looking to play 2 of like LeBron and all right, so say you plug LeBron in your utility spot there. Now we got a guard for. Oh no, he's guard eligible. You have any player for 9-1. It leaves you like a Devin Booker, Kyrie.
Yeah.
Say we took Solomon Hill out and plugged in Jay Crowder in the same spot there. Let's see.
What was that, like 7-6, 7-8?
Jay Crowder leaves you 8.
8 what? 8 even?
You're down to 7. Yeah, 7-6. Wow, good math. which
in
is
any
Derrick
position, or is
Rose,
it
Ingram, which
position
is.
part?
So would you rather play? All right, so it's a 2v2. Jay Crowder and like Ingram, who I think's the best option in the price tag, or Solomon Hill and like Devin Booker, Kyrie for cash.
I guess the Solomon Hill option.
That's what I'm going to go with. Now, Kyrie or Devin Booker?
Kyrie.
See, that's tough for me. That's where I get like torn because Kyrie's been playing worse, but gets the better matchup today. Well, that Devin Booker's been playing on fucking fire, all-star snub narrative, and he gets a worse matchup. So obviously, he can play a lot more minutes than Kyrie too. So
How could they snub him for the All-Star game? That's
Real
crazy.
quick, we got official word that Brandon Clark is ruled out. Tim Hardaway Jr. available to play. Hopefully, we get the news on Melton, but I doubt it. Back to you guys.
CK, chime in. What do you think about that lineup so far for cash? Like, do you think we should go the Solomon Hill route? Jay Crowder, Porzingis fine for cash too, even with some minutes volatility?
Yeah, I'm fine with it because I do think that's what the general public's going to do anyway. So I just don't see it hurting you in cash. You know, like I expect the public to make those same moves because they probably want. Like from what I see, like throughout the day, it looks like LeBron James is projected to be the highest owned stud. So we know stars and scrubs is the thing. They're going to want to secure their studs, and the only way to do that is to take the value they think comes easy. I'm looking at projections. Like we have at our projections, we don't have Solomon Hill, and like when I run it, I don't get a lot of Solomon Hill. I don't get a lot of Kyle Anderson. But I look across.
What do you
the
have
industry,
Solomon Hill's minutes for?
we personally, I lowered his minutes to around exactly. I've got him at like 25 and a half to 26. Because I don't think that there's a guarantee that they'll play Anderson or Hill a ton at the 4. I think they could go try to go a little bit smaller, especially when Favors is off the court, and play Crowder at the 4, where he played for part of his career. So I'm not sold. Like I think between him and Anderson, with if Melton was out, I was going to be a little higher on them. But with Melton possibly in, I'm worried that this is going to somehow trickle down and screw things up. So in tournaments, I'm not looking at a lot of Anderson or Hill. In tournaments, I'd much rather play Melton than Jay Crowder. But in a cash game scenario, though, I'd be willing to sacrifice my raw points for like a 3K player. I'd be willing to take the 16 or 17 he may get if it means I'm going to be able to get LeBron and whatever stud I wanted in a cash game. And the tournaments is where
That's
I'm like,
perfectly
you know
said.
what I mean? Tournaments is where I'm like, like, that's where I don't want it. I don't want that chalk. But in cash, I would.
I completely agree with you. I don't think Solomon Hill is like tournament value. I don't think it's like 25-30. While it's possibly where he had like one game where he went absolutely off the season. Like, I think that like, if he gets like between like 18 to 25 at the absolute tops, like that's amazing for him at 3K. That's good. But like their front court right now consists of like Valanciunas, Jay Crowder, and like Solomon Hill and Kyle Anderson. Maybe like if you have like Valanciunas really play more than like 34 minutes at the tops. Like I doubt it. Like Jay Crowder, same thing. Like 32 to 35 at the most. Like behind them, like they only have like Solomon Hill, like Kyle Anderson. Like I'm not putting really Josh Jackson for anything more than like 12 minutes.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, you know, like, what if he steps in front of both those guys because he's actually a good player? And like the coach said,
man, that's
you know,
hot take.
What? That he's a good player.
Yes, fucking hot take.
Well,
okay,
he's a good fantasy
player when
he can be a good fantasy player. Yes, that we have to.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay, Solomon Hill is not that, right? Like, you know, if Josh Jackson was guaranteed to get the same minutes as Solomon Hill and Kyle Anderson today, which one would you play?
Yeah, but okay, obviously Josh Jackson, but like,
okay, so like I'm just saying that there's a chance they brought him up for a reason. There's a ton of guys out, and now this would
cash games. There's no way I'm playing Josh Jackson over Solomon Hill.
No. This is not a cash game thing at all. Not at all. I'm just saying that there's a guy like that is in the picture that could affect those minutes. Kind of to CK's point, like we don't know if either one of Solomon Hill and Kyle Anderson are going to see as many minutes as you're expecting.
I don't know. Like when you have 96 minutes between like two spots, Valanciunas isn't getting more than like I'm gonna be generous, like 34. Jay Crowder no more than 34.
Why can't Jay Crowder play more than 34?
Just doesn't like ever. Like he played only above 34 minutes like twice this season. They've been riddled injuries the whole time too. They had like Valanciunas and Jaren Jackson hurt at one point, same time.
Okay.
The match was nice, but my thinking is like I'd rather get a discount on Jay Crowder and play Kyle Anderson, Solomon Hill. We get a big discount when like Jay Crowder isn't the best like, per minute player himself in cash games.
I think you're gonna look back on the slate and be like, "Wow, I spent a lot of time on Solomon Hill and Kyle Anderson."
Well, he is talking cash though. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like,
I know, but regardless, I just don't think either of them are guys you want to play a lot of in any format. They're just not that good. Honestly, like.
But bro, if you don't go with the block there and you're wrong on your pivots, if you don't allow that to get you LeBron, or you get LeBron but you don't get that next guy you were supposed to get, it's gonna cost you way more than it's worth. Like you're talking about something that can change your build from other cash
I'll
game
die with the field.
You know what I'm saying?
No one can love Solomon Hill any fucking night. But, like, but kill me with the field at least. Like if I'm gonna play a 3K minimum player who's probably shouldn't even be in the NBA at this point, like
right.
Like I'm burning with the field on a minimum price player who's gonna get me.
I'm probably
over like Brandon Ingram.
For them, to be honest, if you want like a cash safe player, like who's gonna start and play a lot of minutes, Torrey Craig.
I mean,
honestly,
come on, like now we'll go. This could be another whole fucking 15-minute argument. Is he safe too?
No, but I think Paulie's point is he's just as safe as Solomon Hill. That's really what Paulie's point is. Now I will say this: Solomon Hill is flat 3K. Like that's like he's flat stone minimum. Like that is the difference of you having to settle for in a cash game. I know Paulie, don't take this the wrong way. I'm not speaking poorly of Dame, but it's the difference of having to settle for like a Damian Lillard or actually reaching the LeBron. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like
that's fired.
It's there. But now listen, I'm not arguing with you in tournaments, bro.
Yeah, but
in tournaments, I'm looking at like
Torrey
20% Solomon, 20% Kyle. I'm not looking at a lot of either of those guys. Like I don't want them to do it. But in cash, I understand just kind of plugging and shifting and. I get it.
Don't end this conversation.
Don't end the conversation. Stevie doesn't want to let this go, Paulie. He just gonna keep arguing on the cash game thing. He's like,
okay, I don't care.
Matt Tribisi wrote the cash game article for us today. I'm just gonna see what he says. I'm curious. Obviously, Stevie and him run the cash game thing. He's got Solomon Hill in there as well as a core cash play. Solomon Hill also. He's also got him in. I think everybody's just assuming he's gonna start. I mean, I'm with you, bro. Listen, in tournaments, I'm not. Not.
Oh, it's not even a tournament discussion.
Yeah.
I don't even want to hear.
I want nothing to do with them. Yeah. If I lose because I didn't play them in tournaments heavy, so be it. It's just you know what I mean. That's just kind of where I'm at with that. Man, it's a weird slate. Like I do feel like what I like is contrarian, but at the same time, I'm not convinced that what these other sites are projecting as the chalk is fully the chalk. Obviously, Brunson, sure. Joe Val, sure. But, like, the studs, I'm not totally sure that, like, it's going to be in the order in which a lot of these places say. I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm still on the fence with that ish. What we got? We still got 24 minutes to lock. D'Anthony Melton, by the way, game time decision.
Melton, game time decision. That game locks 8. Why is my thing cut off here?
Locks at 8.
Torrey Craig, though, going back to that, there's so many outs for him to get like less minutes.
Put your
like,
camera
first of all, he's already an awful enough per minute player, and like he got 35 minutes last night and like smash. Like, first of all, how often does it happen? And second of all, like there's so many outs to him not getting minutes. Blowout, he's not getting minutes. Like if they need offense, maybe like Michael Porter Jr. plays over him. Like maybe they're in small lineups and like Barton's playing at like the 3 or 4 wherever you want to pin Craig at, and like he plays over Craig. But
so
for me, like
that Solomon Hill is going to play more minutes than Torrey Craig today.
More minutes, no, but he's cheaper. He can get the same minutes, and like he's forced into those minutes. Like Torrey Craig can lose minutes, and he's just as bad as a producer.
I think Torrey Craig plays 10 more minutes than Solomon Hill.
You have Torrey Craig for 48 minutes?
I have Torrey Craig for like 33 minutes.
No, okay, no, obviously not 10 more.
Do you think Solomon Hill's going to start?
No. But do I think he plays around 26 to 30 minutes? Yes.
26 to 30? Okay.
Who else? They have, all right, Valanciunas, will he ever play more than like 34, 35 minutes? No. Jay Crowder has only hit over 34 minutes like 3 times this season. And has come back from injury where he hasn't played over 30 minutes in the last how many games? I don't like 1, 2. Hasn't over 30 minutes since injury in like the last like 7 games.
Play him like you're pretty convinced, aren't you? You know.
Yeah, I'm convinced myself. Like I'm gonna play him. Like I like the back and forth. Like it makes me like have to think a little bit too. It's good. Back and forth is good. Like I'm convinced. I'm fucking playing him. That's for damn sure.
Out on the slate though, and like there's 22 minutes to lock now.
Honestly, it's an important decision, especially when you're playing cash. It is. It's not important to, you know, if you're not playing cash, then what do you give a shit? It's just kind of like, hey.
Then you have everybody.
Yeah, you're like, I'm not playing these assholes. What are their ceilings? Like, you know what I'm saying? But I understand. With that said, let me ask you guys a question. Now, I think we basically, in a different way, covered the studs, our favorite studs, mid-tier, value, all that kind of stuff. Where does, like, say, Reggie Jackson, for instance, or Steven Adams, who's also cheap, where do they rank for you in terms of some of the other value plays that are out there? Stevie, I'll start with you first, and then I'll ask Paulie second.
Adams, maybe I overlooked a little bit. Like, he's super cheap. Like, obviously, he has a decent matchup, too, against the Suns. I think for him, it's hard. Like, even he's been in a big split neurons throughout this whole season so far. Come back from injury where he missed a couple games on and off for a little while. He hasn't really seen above like 25 minutes. Like it's hard to pin him for more than like 28 minutes at a cap. So like while he's still fine, like can hit like 30 DKP, I don't think he's worth playing in a single position with your center where there's some decent value with the Valanciunas there. Like and even too, like you play like.
Hold up, 1 second.
So you want to play
Paulie, your other headphone is right next to the mic, so we're getting an echo because it's like talking into the mic twice. All right, go ahead, Stevie.
You can definitely consider him. He's cheap. Maybe he gets a little bit of a minutes raise since the injury and plays well today because it's a great matchup. But the cap there kind of scares me off some of the better value tonight. Like I don't think we need to pick on him as a little more expensive value when we have so much other decent value already.
Sure enough. Paulie D, what about you, man? Those two, Steven Adams, also Reggie Jackson, but are there any other guys that you're considering at least to go heavier on to make up for the players that we're not playing?
I love Reggie Jackson. I think he's one of the best players on the slate. And Steven Adams, I'm not that high on, but I do like the Newell House quite a bit. I like Jay Crowder. I like Malik Beasley. Who else for value? Michael Porter Jr. is not exactly a value play, but I like him a shit ton too. I think he gets a lot of run, especially if they get blown out. You know, I mean, one of the other, like, you know, it's not just Jalen Brunson from Dallas, you know, like Delon Wright, Seth Curry, Yaya Bay, you know, like, I'm not sure which one I like more than the other. Brunson is just my favorite, but I wouldn't be surprised if one or two of those other ones, you know, crush their price as well.
Yeah, it does. It feels like there should be more there. Right, outside of Hardaway and Porzingis and Brunson, it feels like there should be more there against one of the fastest teams in the league. I do agree with that.
Chandler Hutchinson against Brooklyn, who kind of emerged in his last spot, and you know the team likes him. Like the coach wants to play him more, and he finally like got big minutes, and you know I think he'll play similar because the team's pretty shorthanded as well.
I agree. Stevie, are you playing tournaments today too, or just cash?
I have a few like single entry lineups and like 3 maxes, but like I'm focusing on cash really.
All right, so I was gonna ask Paulie who his top exposures were. For you, I'll ask you who your top tournament pivots are or your top tournament plays are.
So I do like a Paulie said super early. Like I think there are some mid-range upside guys that can do damage on the slate. Like I'm looking at like CJ McCollum. He's been performing great, like 35 minutes plus in the last couple games, even off injury. He's playing a lot of minutes. No Melos, maybe that helps his shot attempts too. So CJ McCollum I like a lot. Rubio's still so cheap and like.
Oh, real quick, sorry to interrupt, but we did just hear D'Anthony Melton will play. There you go, it's official. He will play. Holla at a play when you see him in the streets. Continue, Stevie.
I'm looking at a lot of. I have CJ in 3 of my 3 single entry lineups that aren't my cash lineup. So, and I'm considering playing him cash too. Just because, like we said before, like it's wild to say, but like that 400 from Porzingis to CJ, who has big minutes floor and like upside too, if the game stays close. No, Carmelo does help me get to from like a Devin Booker to like a Jokic.
Fair enough. Paulie D, what do you think are going to be some of your higher exposures for JPPs today?
Dame, LeBron, Jalen Brunson, Reggie Jackson, Michael Porter Jr., John Morant.
Holla at a player. You see him in the streets. Stevie, you were just talking about Melton, right? Yeah, that's who you were referring to.
Yeah. I
like Melton quite a bit. From what I've seen of him, he's been this year. I mean, we didn't see it with the Suns. I don't know what his deal was over there. If he was like just afraid to be himself, but like this year
so far has been balling out.
Right. In limited minutes, he's balled. Where does he rank? Like, give me your tournament perspective and cash perspective. Where does he rank as far as the other Memphis value? Does he become your favorite Memphis value player, or you know what I mean? Like, where does he fit in now? And does his presence being there affect how much you like Solomon Hill and Kyle Anderson now that there's an extra body floating around?
Solomon Hill and Kyle Anderson, no, because I think if anything, he only shares like a couple of minutes off one of those guys, and like I still want to play like the 4 of them in cash games because it's what I say a lot in my articles too. Like the version of the Pelicans, even without like Jaren Jackson, Brandon Goodrich, Brandon Clark, you have fucking 118 total. So like if I can pick out the guys who are going to play a lot of minutes here for super cheap, I want like the combined production, all of them, when they're in a smash spot, and like. So I'd rather play all of them and not have to play like hit or miss on like a few of them there. Like I know I'm fading Jay Crowder in cash, but like I think the 3 of them there, the price tag should give me enough collective value to like do well enough in cash. But D'Anthony Melton individually at 4K, he's still like not super cheap. Like if he was 3K, hell yeah, give me some of him. But like I still only think like John Morant's still there. It's not like John Morant's out, so I think he still only gets like. I mean, it's a hand injury, right?
Yeah. For Melton, it was a hand injury. Yes.
I wouldn't expect any like less minutes. Not like he has to be eased into anything, but like still like 22 minutes maybe. Like tournaments, yes. Cash, no.
Fair enough. Paulie, what's your situation with Melton? I know you weren't into those guys anyway, except for Crowder. So I would assume not much changes for you, other than maybe Melton. What are your thoughts on Melton himself?
He's all right. You know, I think I'd play him at like 20, 25% at most. That's about it though. Like, I think he goes for about 30, which would be about, 7x, which is pretty nice. So I want some of that, but that's the most I think he can get you today.
I will also acknowledge he does have a low floor. It's not like, his minutes, like he's not the spot where they're thin, right? Like they have their guards. They got Tyus Jones, Dylan Brooks, Jay Crowder who plays the wing, Morant. It's just that power forward role. But again, I do think there's a scenario where he does play some extra time at the 2. Dylan Brooks is actually like 6'6", 6'7". They could play him at the 3 in certain scenarios. But it depends on matchup, depends on game flow. But his is not guaranteed, so I would agree. And cash games probably not. But either way, I think it does make the situation a little murky, and it makes me kind of like feel good about going where I'm going with some of these guys and not being on Hill so much in tournaments and whatnot. We've got about 13 minutes now, Salak?
13, and I'm going blind mode where I have to go like face to face with my fucking monitor to be able to see my everything, so I could figure out my FanDuel cash line.
Paulie, did your DraftKings cheat sheet ever get put out? I got somebody asking.
Yeah, I just sent it to him, so it'll be up.
All right, so that'll be out in a couple seconds.
Yeah, I fucking forgot to message the kid.
All right.
Oh my god, what do you guys do with Rubio today? Do you like him a lot? Like, what do you think he gets more minutes again? He's popping everything I see.
I would play him, not in cash, but I would play him.
Let me see. Let me look at the WiseTake chat, see if there's any questions.
He hasn't been playing great. Like, it's a pick 'em too. The spread, right? Let's just so as a pick 'em. Maybe he does get like 33 minutes or so tonight.
MG wants to hear about some Levine. He likes Levine today. He wants to hear your guys' thoughts on Levine.
Play the shit out of him. Monster, great spot, and he's missing a few of the key components that like could take away his usage. He might have like the second or third highest usage on the whole slate, and the guy's been going for like 50s and 60s quite often, and his price is way down. So yeah, he's a great player.
Holla. Similar thoughts?
Yeah, and I'm seeing him a lot higher on the FanDuel too. I don't know why that's the case. Like I like him more on DK than FanDuel, even though he's just about the same price tag, so play more in DK.
The Nets will start. Nets will start Kyrie Irving, Garrett Temple, Harris, Prince, and Allen. So boost for Kyrie with Dinwiddie not in the starting lineup once again. Wanted to get that off my chest. Highlight a play.
Because like Tyus Jones is there too, CK. Like that kind of fucks with Melton.
I went back to Popcorn Machine to look and see who's playing what, and Melton's not actually like Melton's playing with Tyus Jones on the second unit. Melton's coming in for Dylan Brooks. He's coming in for Jay Crowder. Like he's actually playing the 2 and 3 combined. Where Tyus is really more backing up Ja. So I still think there's room for him to pick up some minutes. They'd have to go a smaller, and I don't know if they're willing to do that because New Orleans is right on that cusp. They could force you big with Zion and Favors, but Favors ain't getting more than like 25, 26 minutes these days. So you take him out of the equation. Yeah, Jackson Hayes is big, but is he like a big that you're afraid of? You can't go small against. So I'm not sure what they're gonna do. I really don't. They need a backup center. That might take Solomon Hill might be the backup center today. So if he's the backup center, somebody's got to play the 4 when he's on the court, and he's playing the 5. So they are just short enough on bodies. I mean, we could see some guys that we don't even know are there get some time. And like, who the fuck is this guy? Like the Rockets the other day with that dude Mike, whatever his name was. Like, we're sitting here waiting for Hartenstein to get in, and they're bringing in this guard. He's a guard. Frazier. There you go. That's the guy. So like, I'm
FanDuel is so tough.
Forget about FanDuel.
Harden is like the fucking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cheapest stud. He's 10K. I know, but like, how do you not play him in cash when he's the 6th cheapest and like he only has shooting guard eligibility? Like, everybody else, like Dame, it's hard to play because point guard eligibility, stuff like that, everything. But
actually, think I want to get some. Look, why is it not giving me? I was getting more Kyrie earlier in the day, and all of a sudden it kind of stopped giving me him. Need to figure out. I'm gonna do some investigating. Investigation for the nation.
Oh my God, I'm still getting fucking Harden cash. That's not good. And no, why is that? In 9 minutes.
What type of cash games are your favorites, Stevie? Head-to-heads or?
I'm weird though. Like it's different. It's a very preference person to person kind of thing too. Especially I think more than anything, it's a volume kind of question. So like me, I am playing 500 in volume. I have 200 in FanDuel, 300 on DK tonight. So for me, like because I'm playing what I think I can consider like a decent amount of volume, like I want just whatever the fuck I can win at. Like I'm playing a lot of 50-50s and double ups and that's it. Just because I rather win and make more money than like if.
He says, I wanna play wherever I can win.
That's bro. What my concern at the end of the day is making money.
Bro, I'm with you. I want to be where I can win too. I'm still trying to figure out where that is. I'm glad you know where that is. But like, yeah, me too. I just only want to play where I'm gonna win. Also, so
double up. I play. I'm a me too a bit of.
I'm with you, bro. I'm sticking with you, Stevie. You're gonna show me the way.
Do you know where to win at MMA?
I look at my results and that tells me.
There you go. Holla. My exposures are like the top is pretty much the same it's been all day. Like I don't even have to change my article much, but after the top, very different from where it started off earlier in the day. And that's good. That's why I like doing these shows and I update the projections, even when I'm not actually like, you know, when it's just you guys. I always listen because it helps me, like, you know, because when you're doing projections, the minutes, like there's quarter point, you know, every little quarter minute matters somewhere, especially when in terms of rankings. So hearing everybody's ideas and kind of talking things out, I go through and make these little adjustments. So I'm actually pretty happy with what I have now at the moment. With that said, I'll add a play when you see him in the streets.
Fucking hell, FanDuel is tough for me right now. And I have 7 minutes, 6 minutes.
A lot, yeah, 7, 6 and a
I don't think the AD and LeBron's projections are so fucking high. Especially, I don't want to play them in cash together. I don't think.
Yeah, Kyle Kuzma's projections like through the roof. It's like, what are you guys doing?
I thought that was a little odd. I saw that too before. I was like, really? That's how we live in Biggie Smalls. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, are we ready for Harden to just troll us completely and wake up and dominate with his fucking thigh injury? Are we ready for this? I just want to be ready for this. That's all. I just have to brace myself.
The scariest thing to everything, like, so my cash lineups a lot too. Like, I always I change my projections a lot throughout the day and everything. Like, I always just take like one of the top 3 lineups that are like projected out of my like projections. No matter what the fuck I do, like. Say Harden's projection on the optimizer you use right now is like 56.5. I put him down to like 52.5, and I'm still getting him.
What? Who? Which one? Oh,
Harden.
Yeah.
FanDuel.
Yeah, because like no matter what you do, if you literally either you have to go in and change how his projection is calculated, what stats it's doing, maybe incorporate some recent outings, or you literally have to just fucking like lower his minutes to something you know it's not right, just to balance out, because the bottom line is he's not performing right now. If I put 38 minutes, which is what he's been playing everywhere, he's going to project for the best play on the slate, but we know based off how he's playing now that's not, you know what I'm saying. So it's the same for me too. I had the Jack Westbrook way up and lower Harden a little bit, but I'm still going to have some, but you know, obviously if Harden was fully Harden right now and he was this price and he was playing the way he was earlier this, we'd be all in. Like, tell me not. We'd be all in. You know what I mean?
I think on FanDuel it's more of a position eligibility thing than anything.
Yeah, I don't disagree. What's up?
Like you have like a 1.5K gap between Kim and Booker. And there's Levine there, but like, oh, man.
What's up with DraftKings? Been timing me out. It never used to happen. Like, you know, I'll put the show on and I'll like do the dirty. And, you know, at some point I'll go back in, upload it. And this is the second day in a row. We got, 4 minutes to lock, by the way. This is the second day in a row where I went back in there and it said invalid. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then when I refreshed it, it actually logged me out. So try to be careful with that shit. I almost got caught with my dick in my hands yesterday. Paulie will tell you. That shit was crazy, bro. Like, I went to upload it, and I thought this whole time I thought it was uploaded. And then there's 2 minutes to go, and I noticed that it never uploaded because it logged me out. And it never did that before ever. So I was freaking out, bro. Almost had a heart attack, no doubt. It worked out though.
I can't find a fucking. Oh, God.
You can't find a man. Just keep working, Stevie. You're a good looking dude.
Thank you, bro. One day.
You're
I'm hoping.
Who are your top 2 tournament plays for shooting guard? I'm gonna answer some questions here.
For FanDuel,
it doesn't even specify.
I would go FanDuel just because it's shooting guard specific, but I'll say not Harden, Levine, and Dylan Brooks.
Here's an interesting one. So with the starting lineup for the Pistons are Rose, Svi, Maker, Snell, and Drum. What does that do for you as far as Reggie Jackson goes? Do you think that's good or bad?
I mean, I'm not a big Reggie Jackson guy. No Paulie is, but like,
I'm not a big Reggie Jackson guy, but I'm wildly impressed with what I've seen lately. And I think, I always hated him, but something's good about him lately. So,
really well.
You got to be ready. You got to be willing to change up your
Perception on people.
Predilection. Yeah, exactly. There you go. Thanks.
How at a player. So
It's true because like, well, I have the biggest like preconceptions of people like, but when we've never seen this out of any year from really, and then like he comes back from injury after a long like break and like smashes like fucking in like 17 minutes. Like I don't know. It's hard for me to like believe it.
I'll say this as far as the initial question. I think as long as Jackson and Rose are separate, it's good for Reggie. Right? I think that's Reggie and a big is cool. Reggie and Markieff Morris is cool. Reggie and Rose, that's gonna get a little, that's when the situation gets a little like, that sucks. But I think it's fine that Reggie's coming off the bench. He's been comfortable in this role, and I think he plays more than his 26 minutes. Yeah. Well, honestly, if they were gonna start like this, if it was gonna be Svi, Maker, Drummond, Snell, then this would have been fine for Reggie too. As long as Reggie's not playing with Rose, then I think things are fine. You figure who he's gonna play with, like what's his name? So obviously Markieff on the second unit. He's going to have Christian Wood as a big, and he's going to have like Bruce Brown, who's more so a defender than anything else. So I think it's fine either way. They have to stagger him. You guys like John Morant today? That's another question.
I love him. I love him.
I like him
Every
a lot.
day, but like today especially.
Never mind. MG is funny as fuck, man. I'm reading this questions in the chat. We are 1 minute away from Lock Nation. That's gonna do it basically for today. So I don't see.
Got my FanDuel in 1 minute before lock. Let's go.
Holla. Let me see here if there's. Let me just make sure. If there's nothing uploaded in this, then I'm just effed. But I think I should be all right. And boom. Holla at a player when you see him in the streets. I'm with it. Oh, I'm ready for this. It's going to be fun. That's going to do it for today, Nation. Stevie.
Man, this is going to be such a fucking wild
Stevie, this
slate.
was fun, man. It was good having you on, having some back and forth action, man. I thought you did a really good job. Stevie does a really good job for us during the week also with the cash game breakdowns that he splits with Matt Schreiber. I mean, he writes it most of the time. Matt does it a couple days for us as well. But you guys do a great job. We appreciate you. Paulie, as always, we do the dirty. We do Monday through Friday. We continue to provide the written content at WiseTake.com. As far as the shows go, that's it for the week. We'll be back at it on Monday. I'm sure me and Paulie will do some sort of Super Bowl show at some point over the weekend just to talk some dirties. But that's going to do it for us. For Paulie D, for Stevie Brown, myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.